So I'll start the recording here. So coming into World 4, you're going to hopefully have a fire flower. In terms of overall strategy, there are a few things you want to watch out for in 4. Let me use a music box tree real quick because I do want to move around the map. This first bro right here, this is a cloud. You definitely, absolutely want to fight him. And it's usually not too big of a deal. He usually hangs around close to the fort or in between 4-2 and 4-3, kind of this area. He usually stays on this first screen, so he's not a big deal. The two heaven bros you do have to watch out for are these two. And actually, let me look at a map. I'm not exactly sure where these two spawn as which is which. I was gonna look this up, but I forgot to. Oh, that was every level. Where was the site that I had? Nope. The site? Yeah, here was the site. So let's find World 5 here. Or World 4, excuse me. Okay, so this one, what's up, Law? So this guy right here, this is the P-Wing. This one is the star, if this map is correct, which I believe it is. And depending on your strategy, you may or may not want to fight a bro here. If you do, you want to fight this P-Wing, and you want to avoid the star. But quite frequently, these guys are going to move around and switch and all that. So it's going to be kind of hard to keep track of them because you're going to spend a good, like, 4 levels, and that means 4 movements, not being able to see where they're at and what they're doing. So I'm going to reset this here, just because I want the Hammer Bro movements to seem natural. If I have them asleep for a couple of turns, they'll have some odd ones. What's up, Dave? So really in the first half of the world, what you want to do is just kind of focus on the Cloud Bro. There's nothing too much you can do about him, but keeping him, just knowing where he is a good thing to know. I don't know where that's yeah, that wasn't gonna work. I need to do this without dying. Hold on. Oops, went too far. I should have played that safe, but I figured I'd see what happened. I know, right? Dirty, dirty cheater. Trying to inform the masses of how to think about playing this video game. Okay. So as you can see, the P-Wing did walk over to the other side here, so we can only see where he is. That may or may not help. We'll find out. Yo, I got the bro cheap. Wasn't ready for it. This is a setup where occasionally these two will switch, which is kind of annoying to deal with. But all right, you turn back here. Uh-oh. Yeah. Jumping too high on that jump. I've been doing that like the whole time since I've come back. That's okay. Oh, we are going to get a switch. So now if this guide was right, this is the P-Wing? That's the star. That was wrong. Okay. Well, reverse what I said earlier. That's the star. Nothing I can really do in that situation. You just gotta fight the bro there. When you get to this rock, if you haven't gotten early hammer, then use the rock there to skip past that fort. I messed up the timing of this completely. I tried to do the strat where you jump out of the water immediately and it didn't work. I don't know how to recover from that. But again, that's not the focus of this tutorial. Ignore any bad play. Okay, so this is another spot where if you hold your direction that you're going to go, you can move immediately and skip the hammer bro. But in this scenario, since this is the cloud, obviously we don't want to skip him. But if you do happen to see the star move over there, it's a nice little easy way to get past him. So in this scenario, since I already have the star, I'm not going to get a bro skip. I'd like to fight the P-Wing here as well. This is kind of one of the more... this is not the normal case, so strategy here is a little different. I'll do another go through in a second here. I don't think that star is going to be there anymore. I tried. Nice. Wow. This lasso guy. Okay, a lot of times that's going to happen. If you have a bro here, a lot of times he's going to move down and over from 4 or 5, and you're just going to have to chase him around. That's kind of half the reason why most people use the... most people use a music box in this stage, because these bros tend to be a little more annoying in terms of getting them lining up in a good pattern than the ones in 5. Yeah, let's just restart now. There's nothing else. I want to show a normal kind of bro setup, at least in the second half, to give you an idea what's going on. So hopefully they're a little more... hopefully they're a little more cooperative this time around. Yeah, that is one option. You can do the fort again. I don't think that will... I don't know in terms of map movement how that would work out if he like goes right, but that's not a bad idea. Oops. Dang, didn't get my P speed back. Is it one less? Okay. Yeah, I guess it is? I don't know. Okay, so this is a little more normal. The star and the P-Wing have stayed away, and so we just get the cloud here. A lot of times the cloud will be the first bro you fight right away. And those bros are moving around a lot. Oop. Dang it, dude. Keep messing up that jump. That's a weird jump to mess up in this stage. Yeah, you could be right. I'd have to think about it, and thinking and counting is hard. One thing to note, you do not have to worry about coin chips in World 4, they just can't happen. But there is one spot that is a good spot to adjust your coin count. But that's during the airship. So during the... Oops, I messed that jump up. During all the stages and everything, you don't have to worry too much about your coin count or your score or anything like that. You can take a break from worrying about all that stuff. Just have to kind of pay attention to where you are right before you enter the airship. That's about all you really need to take a look at it. Yeah. 1, 3, 5, and 6 are where you have to worry about Hammer Bros. Okay, so this is a more normal setup when you get to the second half of World 4. You have a couple of options here. You could see if this is the P-Wing. It's kind of a luck scenario here because they've moved around a lot. I personally don't really track the bros in World 4. You could maybe listen to their steps and try and get an idea which one could be which, but I feel like that's probably a lost cause. So you could either press your luck here, hope you get the P-Wing, or if you do fight this one and you get the star, then go down and left, or just down here if he moves up here to fight the P-Wing as well. But what a lot of runners will end up doing is using a music box here to put these guys to sleep. And then you just move on to 4-6. That's how you do 4-6. I remembered. That's true. Dave brings up a valid point. I did not say no sniperino. I very well could have gotten sniped there, but did not. And for a long time, I was really worried about, in a setup like this, about getting that bro. But one thing to keep in mind is that Hammer Bros cannot move past an open space. So that bro up top will not be able to reach me no matter what. He'll just walk right next time. That's his only option. So if you do end up with one, like if there's one where he is right now below 4-5, he could walk up and get in your way. That's just a spot of bad luck that you have to deal with. And then you just kind of have to route in whatever item you get, maybe somewhere else. But if there is one here before you go to 4-6 and you use the... so like let's say you go to... There's a Hammer Bro here. You use the music box, and you do 4-6 and you do the fort. The only two options this bro has is to either move down and then left or right from here, or to move left. And if he moves left, you're still okay because this is another spot where you can move as the screen is scrolling. There's I think there's probably a scenario or two where you could end up with a bro here at the end after doing the fort, but it's pretty rare. So if you use a music box coming into the second half of World 4, you're usually going to be alright and not have to fight either of these two bros, but it can occasionally happen. So I'll show real quick. World 4 is the most boring airship, so I'll only show the real part in the beginning here where you can adjust your coin count, and then I'll start talking about backup strats and that sort of thing. So this first part of the World 4 airship has 11 coins in it total, which is perfect. It allows you to get from anywhere in terms of the number of 11 to anywhere in the number of 11. So like right there, I got 11. I'm only going to want to get one coin and move myself to 12. But if I needed any other number, I could get there from these first 11 coins. The rest of the airship is pretty straightforward, kind of boring, but just wanted to bring that point up really quick. Alright, so let's start talking backup strats. Let's say that you made a mistake on Wendy, or you just weren't able to get the Fire Flower in general, and you come into World 4 as Big Mario. In terms of getting a Fire Flower back, you're a little bit out of luck. There isn't a really close one until the fort, I believe. Let me take a look here and see. Yeah, 4-1 and 4-2 and 4-3. Yeah, those are all leaves in that level. There is the fortress, but you're normally going to want to skip that. So your best bet for getting a Fire Flower again is to either take a slow route in 4-4 and not do the Lakitu bounce and get that Fire Flower down in that block there, or you wait until Fort F2, which has a Fire Flower, which is a little bit easier to grab and doesn't cost quite as much time. So I will... your in-level strats... Let me think here. Are the in-level strats going to change too much? Not in the first 3 levels. Let's skip ahead here a bit. There might be some slight differences based on like where you normally use fireballs and whatnot. But if you come in as Big Mario, the first few levels are going to be the same here. Where your change might occur is here in 4-4. Oh yeah, 4-2 will be different, that's right. Thank you. So there's the Fire Flower here. You skip getting the Lakitu bounce. But that's a bit costly, but it does get you your Fire Flower back, which you might decide you want, you might not. I generally avoid this one and just wait until Fort 4F2, but it's an option you have. Please no Sniperino. Alright, thanks. Yeah, that's true. Your 4-2 strat might change. Let me go to 4-2. My 4-2 strat won't change. I don't use a fireball. Let me see if I can remember this old strat. So there is a strat where you shoot a fireball here, fireball that guy, and move on your way. So if you do a strat like that in 4-2, obviously that's not going to work. Nice bro cheap. And you're going to have to find another solution. But a pretty easy way to do 4-2. It's not quite as fast, but it's actually a lot easier. I do it even if I have fire. Is to just grab 2 blocks here. I actually wanted to hang on to that one. The one will despawn that first piranha plant, and the other one you can just use to run into the second one. So that's if you do a strat like that, there's going to be no difference between doing that and doing with fire or with Big Mario. So your strats will potentially stay normal. Where's the music box? I passed it. There we go. 4-6 is going to be different, though. I will talk about 4-6. Let's think about this. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do 4-6 without a Fire Flower. One is to... Thanks, Rex. One is to use a star here, which you can get here by fighting the extra star bro. So if you get the star here, I'll show you what this looks like. makes the level still pretty quickly. You still lose time overall because fighting the hammer bro is pretty slow, but your star lasts just long enough to run into that bro instead of having to use a fire flower, and then you can finish the level like normal. What's up, Vo? But there is another option that doesn't require the use of a star. So you have a couple of different scenarios here. What you want to do here is wait for a little bit and then run so you can get underneath that guy. And then you kind of just want to time some like floaty jumps to bounce off of those Koopas and get there. So you have a couple of options there, depending on what you want to do if you don't have Fire Flower. If I do this strat, what I do is I wait for basically 3 notes of the song before starting to run. It's like the only audio cue I use in the entire game is for doing a backup strat in 4-6. So take a listen again. It's kind of like the first drum, like it almost sounds like a hi-hat hit or something like that. Just a little tick. But as soon as you hear that, if you start running, then you'll make it underneath that guy really easily. And then just kind of keep yourself in the air, because you want that Koopa to walk to the left far enough to where you can bounce off of him and not hit the invisible blocks there. Oops, I'm gonna get the bonus Sue game. Dang dude, I lost. Dang dude, I lost again. Didn't get any items. Alright, and then when you get into the fortress here as Big Mario, it's going to be about the same if you're doing the non-P-speed strat. Just grab this Fire Flower right here, and you're back on track. I will note Iggy's airship has a leaf on it. So if you... what most people do is if they don't have... If they come into this level as Small Mario, they just ignore the mushroom. What's up, Arch? Because it's slower to get this mushroom than it is to get the one on the fort or on the airship, and it's gonna basically be the same thing. Yeah, there's another one. You can go when the timer hits 299 in 4-6. You know, just find something that works. You just have to make sure you delay just a little bit, and you'll make it just fine. So there's a lot of backup strats if you go into World 1 instead of World 4. There's a lot of different strats for what happens when you enter 4-1 as Small Mario, or if you happen to die somewhere along the way. How to deal with that. 4-1 itself has a mushroom that isn't too terribly hard to get, but it does cost a fair bit of time. But if you mess up the strat like I did anyways, you can always just go for this mushroom here. There's another mushroom in the beginning of the level, but you have to kick a Koopa down to it, and that's really, really slow compared to that. So if I need a mushroom in 4-1, I usually just go with that one. I can get it and get back a bit quicker. Yo, Dr. Dan. Thanks for the host, man. How many penguins? I don't know, man. Probably like 10 now. I'll be honest, I don't remember. I had like 6, and then I added a few more. So if you start 4-2 as Small Mario, if you die in 4-2, or if you decide not to get the mushroom in 4-1, there's another one that's not too terribly hard to get. You basically do the same strat. Oop, I messed it up there, but you want to kick a white block into that one and grab the mushroom. But then you have to do a little bit of a trickier strat on the second half of the world here. Nice. So I'll try this again to see if I can get it. Like I said, I normally get the mushroom in 4-1. So having to deal with this mushroom in 4-2 isn't as big of a deal. I normally like to do 4-2 quickly. That's the level I'm a little better at doing it fast. So we'll try this again though. Oh, still messed it up. I did it fast, but I didn't get the mushroom. I think I want to delay a little bit instead of moving right. I think I just want to kick immediately. believe that's how you do it. Nope. Still not doing it. Maybe it's the... How did this work now? Okay, it's definitely not swimming into the Cheep Cheep. That strat doesn't work. Wanted to be small Mario. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, this game is hard. That's why you just never make mistakes, so you don't have to do backup strats ever. I'm still kicking it over. I don't remember how I used to do that, but no, I'm gonna get this. Hold on. What is it, Cheep Cheep emote? I don't know. I took it off Franker Face C for a while. So it seems to be a little easier if stuff is moving down, but I know there's a way to get it normally. Back is touching the first ice block, okay. These bros keep moving. Well, that time I grabbed the first one. Nice, dude. The rightmost block? Was it? I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done this strat in a long time. Okay, that time it was a little bit off screen, so it didn't work. I guess you can just delay there for a little bit, that works. That's how I would do it, I guess. You can play around with it on your own. Try to get something that works for you. Yo, I got a glitch pipe, nice. No, nice, dude. I won the flower. Alright, so now 4-3 is a level that's going to be very, very different if you enter it small. Right at the very end, the jump you want to do is going to be a lot different than the jump you normally do. There's actually a small little change there too as well, which I messed up. I would... Honestly, for any strategy, I would suggest people find something that works on their own. Do not follow these as hard and fast rules. For all we know, there could be something better that we just haven't found out yet. Or, you know, you'll find something that works for you that doesn't work for anybody else. So this jump normally... can't remember how to do... This is another strat that I'm very, very not good at. Getting your P-speed back after entering the pipe is very tricky in 4-3, because normally when you do a little hop coming out of the pipe, I landed on that guy there. Normally when you do that little hop, your head will hit the top of the pipe, and that will affect your timing as to whether or not you lose P-speed. So normally if I'm small in this, I normally just try to keep running to keep P-speed. That time it didn't work. Yeah, there is a star strat for the beginning of this stage. That's another spot where it would require you to get an extra star along the way from the normal route. I keep losing it. I'm gonna run out of these 99 lives, dude. I'll show the star strat, because that is a little easier way to deal with the beginning of this level. There we go. So this middle part's the same. What changes is this jump here. Those two buzzy beetles, that's another spot where normally your head hits the top of the ceiling there, and it lines up the bounces. But you can't do that as Small Mario. So what you need to do... Oops. What you need to do is jump a little bit later to get through that section. 4-3 small is probably one of the levels I'm the absolute worst at. Nice. So, with a shell, I don't know that strat, honestly. Oh, okay, yeah, I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. That's another option, yeah. It's a bit slower, but it's something you could do. There we go. That jump is the same jump. You don't have to worry about crouching there, but it's a lot more of a big deal, obviously, because if you mess it up, instead of just taking a hit, you die. So doing 4-3 fast as Small Mario is a very scary proposition. Honestly, myself, if I end up in this situation, I usually just take it a bit slower. I'll maybe go about 3/4 of the levels fast, and then take it easy for the last part. But if you are looking to go fast here, all right, I'll show this other stuff. Nope, I won't, because that messed up. I'll show the other strat here with getting speed in the beginning. That grabs a shell and moves with it. Get good. Yeah. So one thing you can do is grab this first shell, run it into the second, and then pick up this third one. And then you can start running with it. And then I messed up, but you can just keep going like that. Takes a little bit longer to get your P-speed set up, but it's a pretty safe way to do it. Man, guy's trolling me. I'm jumping a little late there. That's my own fault. If he jumps or if he doesn't jump, as long as you are ready for it, it shouldn't affect you. I'm just being bad right now, honestly. There we go. I jumped too early there. Nice, dude. That jump isn't different. I'm just playing terribly. Alright, that's good enough. We'll call that good. 283 in the pipe's alright. Alright, Fo. We'll see you. So let's see here. Your 4-4 strat will probably change. You can't do... Depending on how you do 4-4, it might change. A lot of times I'll go and get the mushroom here, because this Lakitu likes to troll quite a bit. So a lot of times I'll just go for the mushroom and make sure I hit it on the left side so I can just pick it up on my way down. But trying to go through this level small is kind of asking to get sniped, so generally I'll just get the mushroom. But let's take a hit here. If you don't, and you're used to doing the sliding strat on this brick here, you won't be able to do it because you won't get above the water. So you're just going to have to swim through the level. Whether you want to do the Lakitu balance or get the mushroom is up to you. But if you normally do that little slide off that end brick, it's not something you can do with Small Mario. So just have to keep that in mind. And then so 4-6 is another level that's going to be a little bit different if you're small. You can do it the same way that I showed as Big Mario. But another thing you can do is get a mushroom here towards the middle of the level. and that way you can get a Fire Flower on the in 4F2. I believe. I'm honestly not sure if that's actually a little bit faster than getting a mushroom and starting out World 5 with a mushroom or not. But I prefer it personally. I will normally go for a little bit of safer strats just to get myself back on track as soon as possible. So again, you want to wait there. Then you just grab this mushroom right here. But you've lost P-Speed. So the way to get through the rest of the level quickly is to hit that little star block and just use the star for the rest of the level. So it's a little bit slower, but honestly not too much. And now you can get the Fire Flower in 4F2 and be back to where you need to be with power-ups. So I guess I'll die to this guy real quick, and then I'll show that one more time. Oops. Wasn't careful around the Koopa. I didn't wait that time. So that's what happens when you don't wait. That first bouncing Koopa will be in your way towards running naturally. So it's definitely faster to let him go by and then have P-Speed as opposed to not. Alright, so there we go. Hopefully that's a good idea of different backup strats and how to handle World 4 in general. Let's move on to World 5 now. I think that's 5. Yeah. Alright, so again, as with most worlds in this game, you're going to want to come into World 5 with a Fire Flower. These two bros on the bottom here, they are, respectively, the top one is a P-Wing, the bottom one is a star. Now, how you're going to react with these two bros really depends on how you interacted with the two bros at the end of World 4. If you didn't get a P-Wing there, you're going to want to get that top P-Wing bro. But you're most likely going to want to skip that star bro. So what you have to do here is you just kind of have to watch where they're moving and hope they give you a good pattern to let you skip them. I would say it's maybe 35 to 40% of the time you'll be able to skip the star bro. So it's a bit, you have to get a little bit lucky for it to happen. But you have a lot higher chance of skipping the bro here in the beginning of 5 than you do in World 4, which is why most people go for the P-Wing here instead of World 4. So we'll be tracking that first bro as if we didn't get the P-Wing in World 5. Alright, that's a good first movement right there. I'm sorry, I said that backwards, didn't I? The star is on top, the P-Wing is on bottom. I think I said that backwards again. Good guide, dude. Good guide. Yeah, the star is on top, so we want him to stay away. While the P-Wing, he can generally do whatever he wants, and he'll be pretty fine. So this movement, we're pretty much going to expect that. The Star Bro doesn't have anywhere else to go but back to his original spot. The P-Wing Bro, he can move down or to the right, it really doesn't matter. Now, you want to do the Fortress here instead of 5-3. Even though 5-3 has the boot, it's a much slower level. So you want to go to the Fortress here. I guess I didn't explain that in 4. You want to go to 4-6 instead of 4-5, but that's really the only decision you have to make other than your hammer decision. But oh well. So now we're hoping for another movement like we got the first time, with the star moving to the left and then down. So there we go. So here we got the skip. We get to fight the P-Wing. And the star will not bother us. So that's a good skip. That's what you want. So now let's move into the tower. The tower is another spot here where you can adjust your coin count. If you adjusted your coin count well enough in World 4, you won't have to worry about a coin chip at the bottom of 5. You don't get that many coins. But during the tower, you're going to be at a coin count because you get a lot of coins here. So you might have to adjust your coin count. Right now, in this situation, I happen to be at +1 above, so I wouldn't want to get any coins towards the end here, but I might run into 1. That's not a huge deal. But a lot of times in my runs, I end up having to get a coin somewhere. There's coins in all 3 of those blocks and 4 coins here. So you can usually get your coin count in a good spot by the end of the tower. Alright, so now this other bro down here, this is a music box. Depending on what you did in World 2, if you were able to skip the music box in World 2, then you're going to want to fight this bro here. If you ran into the music box bro in World 2, you're going to want to try and skip this bro, but the reason that in general we go for this bro instead of the one in World 2 is that this one 9 times out of 10 will get in your way at some point. So relying on trying to skip him over skipping the one in World 2 is just a bad idea. So we generally try to skip the one in World 2, which usually we can avoid, and try to get this one here. I think also the one in World 2 is slightly longer, but I don't think it's a big enough difference where that matters. But we do want to fight that bro, assuming we didn't get the music box in 2. If he happens to move into a spot where you could skip him, I'll show that, but who knows what could happen there. Oh, that's right. I didn't talk about boxless in 4. I will talk about that as well. That's another one of those kind of random scenarios that doesn't happen very often. Oops. Nice. I don't want this. So there is a setup in World 4 of those bros where you might not need to use a music box in order to skip them. It's called boxless for obvious reasons. Nice. I missed that jump. I'm sorry. I'm trying to mess around in practice as well as trying to do this. I shouldn't do that. I should just play through the levels and talk about what's going on. So there is an occasion where you won't need to use a music box. You can just go from 4-4 to 4-6 and then go to the fortress and everything's all grand and you don't have to use a music box to skip the bros. That's another scenario where you'll want to try and skip this hammer bro here, but your chances of that are, you know, low. But it is something that could happen. Oops. There's a P-speed strat in 5.7 that I'm not very good at, as well as one in 5.5. I'll talk about why I'm not very good at those strats when I get to it. A lot of times in World 5 I find myself using backup strats, so I will go over those when we come to them. So I normally just do the strats like I'm doing it back up anyways. So here he's in the way. You know, nothing we can do about it. This is why we don't often plan on skipping this bro. Nice, I'm gonna die to a hammer bro. Okay, we're good. But there you go. There's your music box. You're normally gonna fight those two bros here in World 5. You also notice that there's still movements happening down below because that star bro is still alive. Another reason why it's generally a better idea to fight the bros here in 5 as opposed to in 4 is the ones in World 4, their movements are going to happen regardless. But here up in 5, if you fight the P-Wing bro and leave the star bro alone, you'll have a better chance of getting movements of 1 which will be a little bit faster than if you leave both of them alive. A lot of times they'll move twice, and that'll cost you a little bit of time. It's one of those really, really tiny amounts of time save that you don't have to worry about too much while it's happening, because there's nothing you can do about it. It's just another reason why we normally skip 4 and fight 5. And in terms of overall strategy, there's not too much else to talk about in the rest of this world. Nothing to really look out for if you're not having any problems with power-ups or anything like that. Once you get through that third bro, everything's pretty okay. So let's talk about some backup strats then. I think that's... Oh! I didn't mention. Cloud over 5-9. I'll get to that. I'll get back to that and show that. It's... A lot of these things I just don't even think about anymore. So let's say you come into World 5 as Big Mario, which could happen. Right away in 5-1 you're going to see something different. In the very last jump. I guess it doesn't matter if I'm... Okay, we died. Alright. So right there on those, I should have talked about. Let's do this again. I'll talk about it before it happens. But you see that last jump before making the fall, where normally if you have a fire flower you can just walk off of that and fall down, and then shoot fireballs. But obviously since we don't have any fireballs we can't do that. So we need to make a full jump from the very edge, and that'll let us in between a couple of nippers and let us move back freely. So there we go. Small change, but it makes the end of 5-1 still completable relatively quickly without having to worry about taking a hit. 5-2 is going to end up being the same regardless of what power-up you have. You're always going to want to try and do this bounce and skip past and everything like that. There is a backup power-up in this stage, but it's actually really, really slow to get, and I would not recommend it unless you're really, really hurting for a power-up. It's down this pipe here. This is a fire flower. This guy right here I believe is a Tanuki suit, but you generally want to skip that. No, it's an extra life, I guess. I was thinking that one was a Tanuki suit. I'm thinking of a different one here. Oh, that's the one in World 7. So yeah, so there's a mushroom fire flower right here. But since there's 2 pipe transitions and you lose your speed through the second half of this stage, it's a big time loss. So unless you're really, really hurting for it, I would recommend just moving on. I always come into World 5 as a dingus. There isn't a World 5 I've had where I haven't been a dingus. So let's go back to Mushroom here. I haven't been tracking these bros, but I think they switched, so I think the star might be on the bottom. I'm not sure. But 5F1 is going to be the same as Big Mario. With the exception of the fire kill at the end, obviously. You'll just have to go for a jump kill. A little bit slower, but there's really nothing you can do. I only played this game once when I was a kid, and I was definitely a dingus back then. Let's see here. In this scenario anyways, even if this is the P-Wing, where the star is, we're not going to be able to skip him anyways. So this is, yeah, I thought they switched, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, this is a scenario where if the star doesn't kind of hang out in those 2 spots, there's really nothing we can do about it. You do want to make sure that you absolutely get the P-Wing. If for some reason the star was in an easy spot, but the P-Wing had gotten away, You definitely still want to go back and get the P-Wing. The time save from the P-Wing is huge, so absolutely go and get it. Your tower's not going to be any different either from Big Mario to Fire Mario. Still going to want to try and play the level the same way. And there's no power-ups for you to go get. But again here, so I'm at 10 coins right now. I'd like to get 2 more coins to be at that multiple of 11 plus 1. So we'll just grab these 2 here and keep going. 5-4 again is going to be the same level. There's no fire needed or anything like that, so you'll play this level the same. There is a mushroom in that box, or a leaf, but generally you're not going to want to deal with it. Again, if you're big, 5-5, it's going to be the same level. Oops, I died. I'll just skip on to 5-7 here, because that's the same thing as with the Fire Flower. Because 5-7 is going to be a bit different. This is the strat I normally go for anyways, because I normally need a backup Fire Flower by now. But if you just run across and hit that block right there, there's a Fire Flower. And you can just keep going, and now you're back on track, and you don't have to think about power-ups or anything like that at that point. So, pretty straightforward. World 5 itself, honestly, isn't the hardest world, but it's definitely unforgiving. A lot of mistakes that you'll make in this will cost you a life, as opposed to just getting hit or something like that. Which is why a lot of people disdain it. So here we got a situation where we could actually skip the music box, had that been the scenario. Had we gotten a boxless World 4, or had we gotten the music box bro in World 2, he's moved over to a spot where we can just walk right by him. There's another option if you go here, and he either moves down here or like around the back. But most times he's either going to be here, or go down in the corner there. So you not too often can skip him. 5F2 is going to be the same as Big Mario. Again, with the exception of being able to do a fire kill. But you're going to play the level normally. And then just do a jump kill. So we'll just pretend I'm Big Mario here for this. A lot of the backup strats come into play when you're small Mario in this world, because they do give you a lot of options for mushrooms in this world, but unfortunately a lot of those happen to be leaves as well. So in terms of getting fire back, it's a little bit limited. Again, 5-8, same stage. You don't need any fire. You don't need any fireballs for this guy, so everything's gonna end up the same. And then you cloud over 5-9. And this airship does have a Fire Flower on it. So if you're Big Mario, at some point, if you're Big Mario come into this, you do have a Fire Flower available for you on the airship. And you definitely do want to get that Fire Flower. I'll talk about it when I talk about World 6 as to why that's important. But you definitely want to be as powered up as you can entering World 6. So hopefully that ends up being a Fire Flower here. And there it is. Alright, let's talk about World 5 as small Mario. Because that's where things start to get a lot different. Straight off the bat in 5-1, you just want to do a full jump there and grab that mushroom. If you grab it right before it falls, you don't have to worry about the chain chomp. I kind of waited for a second. But that's the mushroom you want to get. I think there might be another power-up somewhere in this stage, but it's kind of out of the way. But yeah, once you grab that mushroom, just play it the same way you would as Big Mario, and everything's fine. If you come into 5-2 small, again, it's going to be the same thing as Big Mario or Fire Mario. So nothing to really show there. I'm not sure if the fortress is any different. Let me find out here. Let me just run through it and make sure all the jumps are the same. Sometimes the P-speed jumps that you do end up being a bit different. But I don't think that's the case in this fort. I think they're all still the same. Yeah, everything's still the same here. So, nothing to worry about there. So here we actually got 2 switches, although... No, that was the same number of movements, because I skipped 5-2 but died. So this is another scenario where we can get the skip, I believe. Yeah, that's the P-wing there again. And the star can't get in the way, so we're all good. One thing to note, if you come out of this pipe and the P-wing ends up here, which can happen occasionally, sometimes they can do a switch and who can move left, you do want to fight him right here. That still leaves you the option of the Starbro moving out of the way, so you don't have to fight him. Whereas if they stayed swapped like that, you'd have to go through the Starbro to get to the P-wing. So if you do see them switch and then he moves left and down immediately, make sure you fight him right then and there, and then just hope the Starbro gets back out of the way. There is a backup mushroom in the tower that you can get. I would suggest getting it, because a lot of times getting hit in the tower, is not a super uncommon thing. So getting that mushroom is a pretty good idea, I would say. You have to be a little more careful through some of the other rooms here if you don't have P-speed, but that's kind of normal stuff you should learn without having P-speed in the fortress anyways, so. What's up, Gadzooks? So again, here I have 9, so I want to get to 12 again, so I want to get 3 coins in this section. Oops, I want to also hit the vine so I can go up the stage. Alright. So 5-4 is the same. There is a mushroom there, but I would suggest not getting it. Some people do, but honestly I would just say leave it be and just play the level normally. 5-5 has a backup mushroom, which is pretty easy to get. It's just right in this guy here. Pick it up and go and move on your way. There's another backup mushroom. I'll get that one too. Oops, I didn't get P-speed here. There's another backup mushroom right here. Again, in the same thing. Just bump into it and jump and you're good. So, you very, very, very high chance that you'll be able to get out of 5-5 with a mushroom. But if you don't, for some strange reason, maybe you hit something at the very end there, or forget about the mushroom, I don't know. I definitely took that hit on purpose. Oh, you absolutely can, Gadzooks. Anybody can speedrun this game. If I can speedrun it, anybody can do it. You do the same strat. You do the same strat as getting the fire flower, it's just a mushroom this time. So, that's pretty much the same. Let me see if there's any other differences in strats. Oh yeah, there is one in the, there's one in the fortress here. So let's say you enter the fortress as Small Mario. You'll start the level normally, but towards the end there's a mushroom that you can pick up. That isn't too hard to come by. Oops, I did my jumps incorrectly there. So that first one right there, watch out for this Podoboo because it's going to come down basically as soon as you grab that mushroom. So you might want to delay for just a real quick second to make sure you don't get hit and lose the mushroom you just worked so hard to obtain. But that's something you can do real quick to get yourself a mushroom at the end of the fort here. I mean, there's even ways to play this game without a legitimate copy, but we won't talk about that. So just dying here real quick. 5/8's going to be the same level. It's actually slightly easier if you're smaller, because you don't have to do the crouch jump at the very end. But the setup is going to be exactly the same. I guess there is a backup mushroom. I can show where that is. I generally don't go for it myself, but it is something you could do. So I'll show where that is. Then you're in, man. So you've got a backup mushroom, and I think it's it's the third one here. So after that, you can either go back to the beginning of the level and try to get P-Speed again, or just go through the level without. I guess I would try to get P-Speed again. I think that's still faster than trying to go through the level normally. And honestly, this level I find to be easier when the speedrun strat works. The Lakitu, you don't have to worry about them nearly as much. Alright, so that's World 5. Probably a lot of information that I threw out that maybe didn't all sink in. I would say 4 and 5 are the two biggest reasons why I wanted to do this whole guide. Just because these two worlds are where strats will really differ, and there's going to be a lot of backups probably need to be used, just because of how the worlds work. I hope I explained everything fairly well, but just in case I didn't, I would just say really just think about think about what scenario you're in every time you come into the World 4 and 5, and just kind of plan your attack that way. It's one of those things that's very hard to do at first, but once you kind of get a feel for it, it just kind of comes naturally. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8:10. I've definitely got time to do World 6 here, so let's knock that out as well. And then I can do 7 and 8 in my last little video here. So World 6 is where you're going to start to see a lot of items being used, as opposed to items being gathered. There's a lot of longer, more difficult, challenging levels that are made a lot simpler, or just skipped entirely by using a lot of items. So everything that we've been kind of building up for is going to start here. So what you want to do is you want to go to that pipe, use one of your hammers, and break this brick. You'll always have this hammer because you'll get this one in World 3. You might not have one in World 2, but it's definitely faster to just do the Fortress in 4 in that scenario. Always, 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 always use a hammer here instead of in World 4. So what you'll first do is you'll break that rock, and you'll come down here and fight this hammer bro. That's the first thing you'll always do in this world. One thing to note before we start, I can't go around the world to talk about this, unfortunately, but I'll mention it here as best I can. What you can see there is we've got 2 hammer bros. The one that I'm going to fight here first is another hammer that we'll use later on in this world, and the one that you can still see on screen is the ghost. Cloud. I don't know why I said ghost. How is 8 Warpless different from 8 Warpful? It's a majorly different category in bass guitar, Bill. 8 Warpful, you just grab 2 Warplesses in World 1 and go straight to World 8. You skip most of the game with it. Whereas Warpless, you'll be visiting every world and doing a good deal of the stages. So there's quite a bit of a difference between the two categories. Oh, you mean World 8 specifically? Let's see here. There's really no difference. The only difference is what power up you're gonna have when you get into World 8. When you get into World 8 in the Warpless category, you'll 95% of the time have a Fire Flower available. Whereas when you get there in any percent no wrong warp, you'll have a tail. But in terms of strats, it's going to be about the same. There's another slight difference, which I'll talk about here in World 6. But I'll mention that when I get to it. So stick around for a second, and I'll mention that as well. So okay, back to the hammer bros here. So I'm going to fight this hammer here first. That's always going to be the first thing you do in the World 6. But what you want to do is you want to keep track of this cloud here as best you can. On the next little set of dots over that you can't see right now is a star. And he is... No, that's okay. That's fine. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. Is my mouse showing up on screen again here? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this guy right here, this is our cloud. This is the hammer. Okay, so this cloud is here. There's a star that's over to the right one, and down on this dot right here, that's a star. And we want to skip him. We don't want to fight him. We don't need that star. But since these two bros are close to each other, a lot of times they'll switch and they'll move around. And since when we move over to the fort here, we'll be off screen, we won't be able to track those bros. So this is another spot, just like in World 2, where it's very important to count steps in your head and kind of visualize where you think they could be going. It might be a little hard in World 6 because sometimes they can have movements where you just can't track them anymore. But I would say it's maybe 50-50 to where you can say, okay, I know for sure that this is the cloud and this is the star. So let's start the world, and I'll get into it as we go here. Alright, so that's a great first movement. The cloud moved up, which means that we're going to have a decent time tracking them here. And since it was a movement of 1, we also know that the star moved up as well. So right now we've got the cloud here and the star down here on this dot. See, once we scroll over, now we can't see the bros, but we have to do this level to move on because of the lock here. So this is the level where you just kind of have to count the steps and just kind of figure out where they are from there, if at all possible. So we'll listen up here and see what we get. So we got a movement of 2 there. There was 2 footsteps that we could hear. So now coming back over. Now we know since the cloud was here, he walked past 6-6 and over to this spot here. The star only moved once, but since there was a movement of 2 by any of the bros, we heard 2 movements. So hopefully this is a setup where we can only fight the cloud and skip the star. So let's see what kind of movement we get here. They could potentially troll us here, but I think we'll probably get a good setup. Okay. So now we know this is the cloud. We don't have an option to not fight him, but that's perfectly fine because this is the bro that we want. Ice bros are a little tricky if you don't have a power-up. Just be kind of wary of that. You don't honestly deal with much of the ice physics in World 6. It's kind of how the Warpless route plays out. So in 6-5, you're going to want to go to 6-5, and you're always going to want to P-Wing this level. This is one of those levels that's kind of a maze level that you have to have a leaf in order to get through. So using P-Wing here is a very good idea, as it allows us to just kind of, if I can get this shell, to just fly up here and through and get through the level fairly quickly. There is a despawn strat for 6-5, but I won't really go into it in this guide. So I'm more focused on just kind of the basic general strategy as opposed to level strategy. But there's plenty of guides out there to take a look on how to do the despawn. Okay, so this is what I was gonna mention as well. If you're somebody that's newer to the game or somebody that hasn't run the game very much, a good option to do is to go up into this mushroom house here. This mushroom house will every single time, no matter what you pick, no matter when you pick it, it'll always give you a Hammer Brother suit. And this Hammer Brother suit is very, very useful in Bowser's castle, as it makes the Bowser kill itself faster, but also makes it a lot easier. So I'll show that off when I'm in World 8. So just kind of a preview of coming attractions. Obviously, going up to the mushroom house and getting the Hammer Brother suit is a time loss overall, but you negate a lot of that in World 8 by having the hammer suit. So I would suggest, if you're a new player, to get this hammer suit here, take the small time hit in 6, and make up some of it in 8, just to give yourself an easier time. Getting a hammer kill and this suit and a hammer kill is still faster than taking a hit and having to do Bowser the normal way. So I would say it's a good safety strat. Here's another section here where if this Star Bro was down on this square right here, that'd be a-okay, because you can hold right or you can hold up. You can hold whatever direction you want to go here. And this is another screen transition where you can just scroll right over him. I can't show it off because actually let me get him in a spot where I can show that off. Maybe. Let me beat 6-6 really quick here. And then try to suicide so I can show off the screen scrolling. I've showed it off in a couple of different worlds, but it's always good to just show exactly where the spot is. Shoutouts to not really remembering 100% strats. I haven't played this level in many months. That went okay, though. Uh-oh. Alright, we didn't die. We didn't die. I do have to go suicide in a level here real quick, though, because he's going to move. Yeah. Okay, so he's either going to show me, he's either going to show one thing off or he's going to show another. We'll see what he shows off here in a second. Depends on if he moves right or up and down here. Okay, so he moved right. So here's a scenario where this happens pretty frequently. The next spot we're going to go to is this block, this little rock. We're going to break it with the hammer that we got earlier in the world. If the star's standing over this spot, there's nothing you can do. You just got to fight him. Let me try to suicide again to get him into a spot where I can just screen scroll past him. This might take a bit. We'll see how cooperative he is. We still got 97 lives to go through this, so... Okay, here we go. So, you won't be in 6-6, but just imagine that this is like 6-5. Just hold the direction you want to go on the screen scroll, and you'll go right by him without having to fight him. So like I said, you'll use the hammer here. You'll always have a tail at the end of this, because we just did the P-Wing through 6-5, as if you remember. So we'll always have the tail in this section. Well, maybe not always. I'll get into that, but... For the time being, let's just say that we'll always have the leaf coming into this stage. Flying through this fortress is something I would definitely recommend. If you're trying to learn some quick, big time saves, flying through this fortress is one of the big ones. I actually messed up the second fly, but you can get through. Basically, with P-Speed and flying, the whole fortress, which is a lot faster than going through it normally. I could have maybe died there to show that off again, but that's okay. I actually didn't show off something. I was thinking too much about it. You want to take a hit at the end of that fortress and be Big Mario. At least I normally do. There's strats if you're not, but generally I take a hit somewhere towards the end of that stage and turn into Big Mario. I only wanted to take one hit there, but whatever. I guess I'll show the leaf strats or the big strats for 6-8. Yep, that's not the right strat, but oh well. There's the big H. It's a bit easier to at least get over than the small H, but doing it completely smooth is still pretty tricky. Let's try that again. I'll show the right damage boost there. I did the wrong one. I did my normal backup strat if I don't take a hit. That's the wrong power up. Okay. So normally you just start running here. No, I did that right. Okay. And then you can get P-speed through your iframes. But what I normally do is take a hit at the end of the fortress and do basically what you saw the first time. I'll show it again here. Just walk straight onto that Koopa, kick the shell through, don't take that hit. Okay, we did it. It's hard to say exactly what I'm doing at all times. That's what I've found has been the hardest part of doing this. Because I'm so used to just doing things and not talking about them while I do them. Whether or not you take a hit there isn't really a big deal. Since the next level we'll be going into, we'll use a P-Wing. It's a little faster to not take that hit, but I wouldn't, don't give up your P-speed just to not take a hit. If you gotta run through something and use your invincibility frames, go ahead and do that. So 6-9, here's where we're gonna use another P-Wing. This is the first of the flyover stages. You can just fly straight up here, and here's the end of the level on the other side. Real easy stuff. You can also wall jump that if you're small Mario, but I would not recommend it as it's very slow, and you should have the P-Wing for it. So again, you'll always enter this fortress as Raccoon Mario. So what you want to do is take a damage pretty early so that you can conserve your P-speed throughout the whole level. But yeah, that's about it. You'll be hopefully big coming out of this. But you'll always enter this level the same way. Oops, I'm small. Okay. I guess this is a good place to mention it. If you do happen to, do what I just did, like there, or some other mistake, and you end up as small Mario, there's a mushroom in World 6 Airship, and it's pretty much completely key. You absolutely want to get this mushroom. You don't want to skip it. If you already have a mushroom, it's a tail, so you probably don't want to get it. Most people would suggest not getting it for the clip in 7-1. But I know a couple people have said they actually find it a little easier with the tail. But me personally, I can't do it. I can't do a clip with a tail, so I normally just leave World 6 as Big Mario. Important trick here is to miss this jump on purpose, but not die, because there's a little ledge down there. It's probably the most important swag on the run. I'm not Big Mario, so I can't show off the airship clip, but you can clip that block right there if you time it right, and clip through and not have to worry about this section. It's completely pointless, and I wouldn't recommend going for it, but just a little something you could do on the airship while you're waiting. Oops, I hit the... So there's the mushroom right there. Getting out of here with this mushroom is a little tricky. That jump, if you either go from the bricks or if you go from below, is a little trolly, so be careful with it. Don't just lackadaisically go about it. But you do have to watch out for it. Lemmy, you can fight the same way every time. Just bounce once on each of the balls, and just wait for when he's going to pop up, and he won't move at all. You don't have to worry about it. If you do anything wrong, then Lemmy's going to start moving around, and the balls are going to start going different ways, and you got to worry about it. But if you do it like that, if you do it the same way every time, just jumping on him and then bouncing once off the balls, the fight will be the same way every time, and you don't have to worry about taking a hit there. So let's start talking about backup strats in World 6, as there are some. Like I said, this is where you start using a lot of items, so a lot of the levels will end up being the same thing every time. But occasionally something might happen. Maybe you'll take a death in a spot you weren't expecting to, or something like that, and you'll have to improvise a little bit. Let's say maybe Roy tags you once or something, and you enter the world big. Obviously, your Hammer Bro fights are going to be about the same. But when you enter the fort here, you can't do that nice little damage boost all the way across the spikes like I did earlier as only Big Mario. So you can grab this tail here and wait for that elevator to get free, because otherwise you will run into it, and then just do the damage boost like normal. And you'll always be Small Mario if you're going fast through this section. So the rest of this level is the same. And likewise, 6-4 is going to be the same stage every time. You'll always be small entering it, and you'll always be small leaving it. So there's no real backup strats there. So let's see here. 6-5, you'll always use the P-Wing, so that one's the same. And that fort, I guess I'll talk about the fort, because there is a possibility that you might take a hit at the very end of 6-5 or something like that. But recovering from that is pretty easy. If you're Big Mario, which you most likely will be. You can just grab a leaf right here. And while you're running back down this track, make sure you jump, because if you just start running from here, you'll pick up P-Speed earlier than you want, and that'll mess it up. So just kind of jump and line yourself up, and then start getting your P-Speed again like normal. Oops, I didn't fly correctly there. Oh, nice one all the way back. Sick. But that's the backup of 6F2. Or I guess I'll just grab the leaf, jump a couple times on the way back so your P meter is good, and then you can fly through the level like normal. I showed both 6-8s. Yeah, even if you're Small Mario, 6-8 isn't going to be any different either. You just want to, obviously at that point, not take a hit ever. So you might want to give up your P-Speed to not take a hit, but that's going to be the same. 6-9 is going to be the same level every time, because you use a P-Wing. And so 6F3 is going to be the same level as well. Let's see here. Can you... I guess I can talk about dying in some of these forts, or the small strats for the forts. Oops, didn't change to 6 here, because that is something that can happen. These forts are a little dangerous, so deaths can occur. So I guess I'll mention small strats in each of these forts. So 6F1, you really don't have any other options here. There's a mushroom in that box, and it gets away from you real quickly. So don't even worry about the mushroom. You're just gonna have to ride the magic carpet all the way across here. It's a lot slower, but it's about really the only thing you can do in this level. But once you get here, again, you're back to the same as always. So it's just that little first section you have to play differently and a bit slower. I'll actually have to beat this, don't I? P-Wing's probably the fastest way through. I have to actually beat this stage, though, to get through to the rest of the world here. As for the star strat, as long as you don't get hit, you can even miss the door and you'll still have plenty of time to get to the boom boom. There's a fair amount of leeway there, so don't worry about it too much. Guess I've never seen anybody die in 6-5, but I could show where the intended, I guess, leaf is. think there's one here. Yeah, there's one here, and there's also one, in this pipe here. So if you're missing, if you get hit somewhere in 6-5 and need to get a tail, those are your two options. And then you just have to basically beat the level as it was intended. You're still going to get this guy, but you just have to build up your speed here instead of having it immediately. It's really the only difference. That Nipper was alive. I stopped there for a second because I don't know how that happened. He must have jumped. That's weird. Oh well. I guess there's a possibility of taking a hit there. So let's see, 6. Yeah, I went over that. I guess I'll talk about if you die. If you die on 6F2 and then come in small, I'll just take a hit here real quick to simulate that. You don't really have a lot of options. At this point, you're gonna have to go through the levels small. You can take. Oop, I wasn't paying attention. You can take a damage boost there through that. Let's show this again. You can damage boost. I think damage boosting through this other swamp. I don't think damage boosting through this swamp saves a whole lot of time. But going through, not this guy, this one here, I think that does save a little bit of time, which might be an option you can use. And then here is a leaf if you have Big Mario. You can try to set up for another flight through this part, but honestly, honestly, I wouldn't worry about it, as the waffles are going to be, you're going to have to time the waffles at that point, which is kind of hard. And if you make any kind of mistake, then it's instantly dead, and you're probably going to die again. So I would in that case, if you come into this fortress small, just get the power-ups as you go and just get through the level. That's really your only option. So yeah, so that's it for World 6 then as well. We got about